ministers, senior cabinet officials, members of the federal state. Welcome to our 11th post-cabinet press briefing, 21st April 2026. Allow me to invite our chairperson and our Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, Dr. Sola, to present today's cabinet highlights. Minister.
Thank you, Chief Secretary. Today, the 21st of April 2026, His Excellency the President, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, chaired the 11th Cabinet meeting, and the following issues, among others, were considered and approved. Cabinet noted and approved the 2026 second round crop, livestock and fisheries assessment, and the cotton production remedial measures reports as presented by the Minister of Agriculture, Mechanization and Water Resources Development, Honorable Dr. Anxious Jongwe Masuka. The assessment report shows outcomes of estimated crop, livestock and fisheries production for the 2025 to 2026 summer season as per the following highlights. Number one, the agricultural sector experienced an overall 5% growth. Number two, maize production is expected to increase by 2% from 2.29 million metric tons in 2024 to 2025 season to 2.35 million metric tons in 2025 to 2026 season. Number three, traditional grains are estimated at 390,272 metric tons, being sorghum 290,216 metric tons, pearl millet 87,677 metric tons, and finger millet 12,379 metric tons. Number four, total cereal production for the 2025-2026 season is expected to be 2,739,712 metric tons. The total inclusive of strategic reserves would get to 2,876,614 metric tons. Number five, livestock, that's goats, sheep, pigs, and poultry production increased by a range of between 0.3% to 29%, while various horticultural crops grew by between 10% to 44%. Number six, highlight, soybean production increased by 129% from 41,919 metric tons in 2024 to 96,129 metric tons in 2025 to 2026 season. Then the seventh highlight, cotton production is estimated at 77,212 metric tons compared to 61,289 metric tons, a 26% change compared to the previous season. Then the eighth highlight, tobacco production is estimated at 378,322 metric tons compared to 353,452 metric tons, a 7% increase from the previous season. The national cereals balance sheet to March 2027 shows that the nation expects surplus cereals ranging from 550,945 metric tons to 964,945 metric tons using various consumption patterns. Cabinet also adopted a raft of measures aimed at safeguarding the gains achieved in the agricultural sector as follows. Number one, the enforcement of Statutory Instrument 87 of 2025 to encourage local production and purchase of grain along other financing options. Number two, acceleration of climate-proofing agriculture at national and household level through Kumbudza, Intwasa, and irrigation development. Number three, the sustained emphasis on agro-ecological tailoring of crops and soil health, fertility management through enhanced agricultural information management systems. Number 4, adequate resourcing of rural development 8.0 schemes together with investments in village business units. Number 5, the sustained establishment of flood drought mitigation centers in order to build the resilience of communities against future shocks. And finally, number 6, the revitalization of the cotton industry through a tailored corporate rescue initiative for the relevant state-owned enterprise. The other key strategic intervention is the expeditious payment of farmers for cotton deliveries. Cabinet approved the proposed public-private partnership for the development of bulk infrastructure on Lot 1 of Jafuta Estate in Masuwe Special Economic Zone, that's Victoria Falls, between Monsieur Tunya Development Corporation, that's company instead of corporation, and J.R. Goddard Private Limited, which was presented by the Minister of Finance, Economic Development and Investment Promotion. The Masuwe Special Economic Zone is a flagship national development project which the Second Republic established in September 2018 with a strategic intent to transform Victoria Falls into a diversified, high-value hub integrating tourism, financial services, and sustainable real estate. The Special Economic Zone encompasses a total of 1,200 hectares of Jafuta Estate outside Victoria Falls City and is strategically located within the Kavango-Zambezi Transfrontier Conservation Area. The proposed projects will entail the surfacing of 8 kilometers of internal road network, the upgrading of 9 kilometers of gravel roads, the construction of a 13-kilometer water pipeline covering the entire 1,200 hectares and the neighboring communities, the construction of a packaged water treatment plant, a sewerage reticulation system, effluent refuse storage ponds, a power substation, and the provision of management services for the Special Economic Zone. A rigorous evaluation of the project proposal was undertaken in line with Zimbabwe Investment Development Authority ZIDA Act and the Public-Private Partnership Guidelines. Under the proposed commercial joint venture, the Mosia Tunya Development Company will contribute 271.5 hectares of Jafuta Estates as equity in kind, valued at United States dollars 25.6 million. On this part, the J.R. Goddard Consortium, which comprises of 4 companies, namely J.R. Goddard Private Limited, Sesani Private Limited, Stuart Scott Zimbabwe Private Limited, and GGF Africa Private Limited will provide United States dollars 66.9 million investment for the construction of the bulk infrastructure. The shareholding structure will be 39% for the Mosia Tunya Development Company and 61% for J.R. Goddard Consortium. Cabinet noted that if implemented, the project will unlock numerous benefits to the country, including catalyzing high-value investments, sovereign asset utilization, strategic diversification of the tourism economy with world-class infrastructure, sustainable fiscal contribution to gross domestic product, downstream job creation, and the socio-economic upliftment of communities. Ultimately, the project will expectedly catapult the transformation of Victoria Falls into a modern and vibrant economic city, fulfilling the attainment of Vision 2030. Additionally, the joint venture will incorporate a 25-year structured profit recoup period under the management of a proportionally represented board chaired by Monsieur Tunya Development Company, and will be guided by the governance framework to ensure strategic alignment with the objectives of the country's National Development Strategy number 2. Cabinet received the reports on progress made in the implementation of priority projects for the first 100-day cycle of 2026 as presented by the Ministers of Skills, Audit and Development, Finance, Economic Development and Investment Promotion, and Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services. In terms of the Science, Technology, Innovation and Human Capital Development thematic area of the National Development Strategy 2, the Minister of Skills, Audit and Development highlighted the following key achievements under his purview. 1. Conducting a Phase 3 skills audit in agriculture, which is now at 30% completion nationwide. 2. Development of a skills development policy, which now awaits validation by key stakeholders. Under the job creation, youth development, creative industry and culture, the Minister of Skills, Audit and Development highlighted the following projects. 1. Development of retired experts database project for at least 375 retired experts in Harare Metropolitan Province, which is now 50% complete. Number 2, development of the diaspora skills database in Harare Metropolitan Province, which has been completed. The third project, facilitation of provincial skills fair competitions in 5 provinces of Matabeleland South, Mat North, Mashonaland West, and Mashonaland Central, which is now at 80% completion. In terms of the macroeconomic stability and financial sector stability thematic area under the National Development Strategy 2, the Minister of Finance, Economic Development and Investment Promotion highlighted the following key achievements under his purview. Number 1, implementation of the 2026 budget employment costs. Number 2, strengthening the purchasing power of the Zimbabwe gold currency, ZiG, and entrench its usage by bringing down inflation to 3.8% by February 2026. Number 3, promoting the wider circulation of the ZiG currency and its availability in all denominations. The 4th project, construction of Zimra Forbes staff cottages in Manicaland, which is now at 81% completion. The 5th project, construction of Zimra Plum Tree Drones Operation Area in Matabeleland South Province, which is 90% complete. 6th project, provincial investment conferences were conducted in Matabeleland South Province. 7th project, financial sector strategy project, which is almost complete. Then the 8th, disaster risk financing strategy launch. And finally, the 9th, operationalization of the International Financial Services Center. In terms of the infrastructure and development housing thematic area of NDS2, the Minister of Finance, Economic Development and Investment Promotion highlighted the following projects under his purview. 1, construction of 15 Marimba cluster housing units in Harare Metropolitan Province. Number 2, construction of 30 by 3 bedroom cluster housing units in Kadoma, Mashonaland West Province. Number 3, construction of Catholic University of Zimbabwe students accommodation project. Number 4, construction of a 5 megawatt solar plant in Gutu, Masvingo Province. Then the 5th project, development of Speedcorp housing stands project in Gwanda District, Matabeleland South Province. Under the food security and nutrition, value addition and beneficiation thematic area of NDS2, The Minister of Finance, Economic Development and Investment Promotion highlighted the following projects. 1. Strengthening production capacity of the dry tomato powder project in Bulawayo Metropolitan Province. 2. Strengthening financial inclusion in the Women Tricycle Project in Mashonaland East and Manicaland provinces. Number 3. Establishment of the Teens Feed Master Project in Bulawayo Metropolitan Province. And in the thematic area of human capital development and health under the NDS2, the Minister of Finance and Economic Development and Investment Promotion highlighted the establishment of the Kumba Care Private Limited project in Zarasekwa in Harare Metropolitan Province, then Chiweshe in Mashonaland Central provinces. In terms of the image building, international relations and trade thematic area of the National Development Strategy 2, the Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services highlighted the following projects under his purview. Number 1, conducting tours to major infrastructure and development projects in 3 provinces under the NDS2 communication project. Number 2, implementation of the radio transmitter upgrade at Montrose, Bulawayo Metropolitan Province, which is now at 60% completion. Number 3, upgrading of the outside radio broadcasting van at Montrose Studio, Bulawayo Metropolitan Province, which stands at 40% completion. The 4th project, modernization of Mare Radio Studio in Harare Metropolitan Province, which is now at 30% completion. The 5th project, equipping the Pockets Hills Radio News booths in Harare Metropolitan Province, which is now at 70% completion. And lastly, ongoing information awareness and educational programs conducted through the Community Mobile Cinematography Project in Matabeleland South Province. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for presenting today's cabinet highlights. We now move to the first round of 3 questions. Then we'll ask the Honorable Ministers to respond to those questions. Yes.
Abigail Tembo from ZBC. My first question is directed to the Minister of Agriculture. Honorable Minister, while the report highlighted overall growth in crop and livestock production, what concrete measures is government putting in place to ensure these gains translate into improved food security and lower prices for ordinary Zimbabweans? And then the second one is directed to the Minister of Finance. The report highlighted a drop in inflation to 3.8% and efforts to strengthen the ZiG currency. What safeguards are in place to ensure this stability is sustained? And how confident are you that the ZiG will maintain the current public trust in the long term? Thank you.
Yes.
Good afternoon. I'm Itai Ndongwe from Financial Express, and my questions are directed to the Minister of Agriculture. Recent Feminine Early Warning System Network reports indicates localized harvest reduction due to late January and February dry spell. Now that we are in April and May harvest window, what is the preliminary data on the maize to small grain ratio being delivered to the GMB? Then number 2, are we still on track for the projected near average harvest, or will we need to extend the import window beyond the 414,000 metric tons already brought in from South Africa? Thank you.
Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Chief Secretary. I will invite the Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Masuka, to take the first question from Abigail Temo.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Abigail Tembo. The sustained increase in production of cereals, principally maize, traditional grains comprising sorghum, pearl millet, and finger millet, but also of wheat, will assure the nation of food security at a national level. And that's the report that was presented today. That notwithstanding, there will be localized outages in some wards and in some districts. And we noted in particular Beit Bridge, for example, that district will not have sufficient in terms of production to feed itself throughout the year. So we will be mobilizing grain from surplus districts, surplus wards, and to move to these deficit wards and districts. But also noting that at the national strategic grain level, we have around 160,000 metric tons of grain in the national strategic grain reserve within GMB. We also anticipate a very substantial intake of cereals this season, because as you have noted, we are looking at 2.35 million metric tons of maize. My expectation, therefore, is that there will be business rationality in terms of pricing of this commodity that's readily available. We are not in a shortage here, so my expectation is that millers will behave responsibly and that maize meal will be available, affordable to everyone who needs it. The second aspect is about lowering prices. I guess as we produce more and more, we will first stabilize prices, and I hope that one day we'll be able to see these prices trend downwards. I'm very happy that we have seen the price of a 10 kg roller meal stabilize around $5.50 to $6.50 over the past 6 months, and that gives us I think, confidence that despite the volatility that we see in the Middle East, this strategy of producing locally will assure this nation, first, of availability, and secondly, of affordability. Hopefully, thirdly, we'll be able to see some lowering of prices. Then Itai cites a report which I have not seen, so I don't know its credibility. But that notwithstanding, we have reported that the nation has harvested enough at a national level to be able to feed itself. And Zimbabwe has shown that even in the midst of the worst drought in living memory in 2024, we were able to summon our individual and collective capacities to strategize around the wheat-based food security strategy, wherein we increased the wheat production to record production, and Zimbabwe became the only African country on this continent to feed its people social welfare wheat. So I'm very confident that should there be a recurrence of similar hazards, Zimbabweans will be able to stand up to this challenge and be able again to repeat the feat that we did in 2024. In fact, we are planning to produce 662,000 metric tons of wheat, which will be above our national requirement. So I look forward to a very healthy surplus for this summer, but also going into winter. And I hope that the predictions of a super El Nino that the Meteorological Services Department is watching very closely will come to some neutral ways would ordinarily happen. But should that worst scenario happen, our dams are at 93.4% full now, so we will be able to plan accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The second question is directed to Honorable Professor Mthuli Ncube on the stability of zig cards.
Thank you very much, Honorable Soda, for that question from Abigail. Where you asked about the stability of inflation at single-digit levels. This is inflation in domestic currency in ZiG, as well as the stability of the ZiG itself. How can we maintain this macroeconomic stability going forward? What strategies are we using to maintain this much-needed stability? The strategies basically are both monetary and fiscal in nature. Let me start with the monetary strategies, which are complemented by the fiscal strategies. The first order of business is to manage, if not control, liquidity in the first place. Liquidity in the market. This is domestic currency liquidity. In the past, the currency was unstable, largely because of the excess liquidity that was sloshing around, which then agents could access and then end up unduly demanding hard currency, therefore stabilizing the exchange rate. Now, in strategies for liquidity containment is via what you call managing your reserve requirement. The Reserve Bank has a reserve requirement target for which they use them to mop up this liquidity from the banking sector, using NCDs and other open market operations strategies, or almost as we call them. So number two, they also use not just the quantum of liquidity that they have to mop out, but also the price for this liquidity, the price being the interest rate. As you know, at the moment, the policy rate is being maintained at 5%, and that goes a long way again in managing the demand for the domestic currency. So that's on one side, on the monetary front. On the fiscal front, two main things. One is just basically managing a budget deficit that is within 0.5% of GDP. That really means that we're living within our means and not outside our means as a central government. So with that small budget deficit, then there's no need to monetize the deficit, which is so small. Even if you monetize it, it is so small, it will have very little impact on money supply growth. Because the process of monetization of the budget deficit often involves the issuance of treasury bills and maybe borrowings from the commercial banks. This then increases money supply and therefore infuses more liquidity in the system, and then that causes your currency to be volatile. So once you contain your budget deficit, you've done a lot in terms of supporting the currency. Then the other bit is in making sure that the treasurer of the fiscus does not use the overdraft window at the reserve bank. Previously, this used to be the case. It used to be used, but I'm happy to say that currently we don't resort to using that overdraft facility at the reserve bank, because doing so means again creating money. It means printing money. So that's a thing of the past. So you can see that both monetary and fiscal policies are working together to make sure that we have stability. There's an auxiliary issue which is on the balance of payment side. When we have a current account deficit, meaning that in the country more money is leaving the country than coming in, basically, that's what it means. Again, it means that then the economy is not able to accumulate hard currency receivables. But we have the exact opposite here. What we have is there's more receipts than outflows. We've got a current account surplus, which means that there's net inflows into the country. By accumulating these hard currency inflows, that is able then to support the currency. Then on my final point, again going back to the issue of monetary and fiscal, our reserves accumulation program, where we're accumulating reserves in gold, is also supporting stability. Right now our reserves are at $1.4 billion, largely in gold, physical gold. Even some of the US dollars that we earn, we convert that into physical gold, and there's an upside to that because the gold price has been quite high and rising. So that gold accumulation program or reserves accumulation program also goes a long way in guaranteeing stability. If you're looking at the value of reserves at 1.4 billion US dollars, and that far dominates the entire ZiG in circulation, which is less than $1 billion. So we're more than covered on the entirety of the ZiG in circulation by the quantum of reserves. And all of this is guaranteeing stability going forward and allowing companies, agents to plan, know the future, at least have a feel of the future, and that way we're able to support economic growth. Thank you.
very much, Honorable Ministers, for responding to those questions. Let's move to the final round of 3 questions. Yes.
Thank you, Chief Secretary. My name is Machingura Cretina from Xinhua, China News Agency. Yes, according to the second round crop and livestock assessment report, it has been said that the country reported an increase in production of various crops, including horticulture products. So, in view of China's zero tariff policy, which will come into effect on 1 May, I just want to find out Zimbabwe, how prepared is it to take advantage of this policy to increase its agricultural exports into China? Thank you.
Okay. My first question is directed to the Minister of Skills Audit. From the report, you developed both a diaspora and retired experts database, but what concrete mechanisms are in place to actually deploy these skills into the economy rather than these platforms remaining just registries? And then the second question, with provincial skills competitions at 80% completion, how's the ministry ensuring that participants transition from competitions into real employment or entrepreneurial opportunities? And then to the Minister of Information, with significant investment in broadcasting infrastructure, how is the ministry ensuring content quality, diversity, and credibility to build public trust in state media? Thank you.
We will get more than 3%.
Thank you very much. The first question is directed to the Minister of Agriculture from Machingura Cretina.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Cretina Machingura, for that very pertinent question. I think this is a 2-stage process with China. The first stage is to be able to negotiate the product by product requirements for export into China, after which then you are able then to access these zero tariffs. So we are at the first stage. We now have citrus approved, we have a protocol approved. We now have macadamia protocol that's working on avocados and blueberries, and then we'll look at livestock. But once those are approved, then these negotiations for the various product-based protocols with their Chinese counterparts with a view to ensuring that we are able to benefit from this window of opportunity that has been availed by the Chinese, so that we can then have
national natural resources. For example, where you have a lot of lithium, if you are going to export raw lithium at some point at a price of less than $200 per ton, but the rest of the value addition processes, the level of deficiency within each and every economy in terms of the skills base. So the diaspora skills audit will continue in order to capacitate the nation and the continent as well. But at the same time, to highlight that a number of technical, health, engineering skills, flight was one of the biggest challenges that we faced as a country for the past decades. And working together with the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development, having identified the particular skills that can assist to turn around this economy, we have a whole of government approach in order to find ways on how best we can bring back these skills. For the most dynamic resource that we have in any nation is the human resource, which has always been a priority in terms of both NDS1 and NDS2. So basically what you import, when you import toothpicks, it means you are failing to produce toothpicks. When you import cooking oil, it means you are failing to produce, whilst you've got ground nuts, you've soybeans. So all these skills are very key. So as we collaborate and coordinate skills within provinces. This is also part of the whole of government approach where we work together with Ministry of Higher and Tertiary Education, work together with Ministry of Youth in order to identify the skills gap within the labor market. And as we continue to develop this, becomes part of a national manpower plan, which then ensures that as an economy, we're in a position to support economic growth. If you calculate the numbers that we've received in terms of health professionals who left the country for the past 2 decades, some are within overseas labor markets, some have retired. All these skills are necessary for Vision 2030 is a collective responsibility for each and every Zimbabwean, be it in the diaspora. In the health sector, we've identified quite a huge number of experts who can also contribute towards a number of challenges that we face in the health sector, be it heart transplants, liver transplants, and many other challenges that we face. But now, within the context of the 4th Industrial Revolution, we can also utilize telemedicine using ICT, utilization of artificial intelligence, for us to be able, especially when it comes to telemedicine in the health sector, to be able to come up with a number of solutions in terms of health service delivery. So all these skills are very key for us to be able to develop our nation. And as we continue to utilize the whole of government approach, this automatically means utilizing the 4th Industrial Revolution. We are then in a position to utilize as many skills as possible in many other areas. You will know that we've been importing cement in our country, but it does not mean that we do not have the limestone. We have a lot of limestone deposits which we can turn into clinker with the correct calcium carbonate, with the correct silica components. But what has been missing? What has been the missing, the gap has been the knowledge and skills that have been inadequate in that particular area. But given the magnetic investment climate that has been created in the new dispensation, it means that we need to reorganize human resources planning and manpower planning for our nation in order to identify these particular skills so that we can produce as a nation. But also as we utilize skills development and skills audits, we're then in a position to be able to redo our curriculums across various sectors of the economy in order to ensure that we have a demand-driven education system, not a supply-driven education system. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dr. Mswere. Then from Abigail Tembo, your question on the issue of content equality and the measures by which credibility will be guaranteed. Currently, through the Ministry of Information, we are working on a project by which human capital development will be prioritized, especially to ensure that we have content that is being created, especially local content, in line with our media policy requirements. We have set aside some resources for content creation. Like I indicated, that is a project that we are working on. But what we are emphasizing is the issue of responsible journalism. We are aware that these days everyone with an iPhone is a journalist, and you can create content immediately and dispatch it, and you can inform or you can misinform the public by the content that you would have generated. So to curb that, just recently last week the ministry together with our stakeholders were in Kadoma, where we were having a right shop to come up with some regulations as to how we should be able to regulate content creation. Now with the threat of artificial intelligence, and like I just indicated, that everyone with an iPhone can generate content and spread it, we are coming up with some regulations to ensure that our people will not be misinformed, and we were soliciting for the views of the professionals from the industry as to how we can go about regulating. And the other thought that we had was that of co-regulating. You are aware that the media industry is regulated by Zimbabwe Media Commission, but we felt that there was need for the professionals to regulate themselves first, so that together with ZMC, we should be able to regulate the industry, protect it, so that even going into the future, it should continue to be an industry of choice, where people can deliberately decide to be participants in that industry, and we weed out people that can bring about disrepute of the media industry. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for responding to those questions. We have come to the end of today's post-cabinet press briefing. Thank you very much.